is we pick a topic. So I'm a professional life coach, and I believe that coaching should be available to everyone. So we pick a topic, something that is current, is important to people, and we dive it in. And today I'll be talking about stress, because honestly, stress is something that on so many levels can hinder somebody's life beyond recognition. So it wrecks people's keep going live on TikTok. Thank you so much. I do that regularly. My travel schedule or something, things come up, and it's kind of hard to keep it consistent, but I'll do my best to do that. So today the topic is stress. We'll start in exactly 5 minutes. We'll just wait for more people to join, because to be honest, ever since I go live on TikTok, I think stress was one of the most requested topics. I do not have Snapchat, but I do have Instagram, and you can find my Instagram, my YouTube right here. You can see more content even in the feed of TikTok. There are probably hundreds of videos. And today's stress. So the big question when we talk about stress with people say, well, Lio, I'm so stressed. So I want to check in with you as well. Do you feel yourself saying that you're stressed as if it's normal? So my IG is right here, is at lio.coach, Lio.coach. That is my Instagram. You can find me, follow me there, or simply just click the link in bio and it will bring you to the Instagram. So the problem with stress is that currently most of people accept it as if everybody will just say, I'm so stressed, and then people kind of assume that, well, that's what is. And it's the biggest stress is normal, but we need to manage it, Iman says. I would say even the levels of stress, it's not really normal to be stressed all the time, and it's not really normal to have stressors all the time. And that's what I'm going to try and challenge the status quo that stress is normal, that it's okay to have stress in your life, that my life is a life of stress and with stress, and that's okay. So today I'll share 8 different ways on how you can shift your entire view on your life, on stress itself, and hopefully by the end of this live, you will walk away with practical tools in your toolkit for you to not only overcome stress, because overcoming stress is not enough. It is also enough to live a life of joy, meaning, and success on your terms. So my intention with this live today is not only to help you realize that stress is not necessary, it's not normal, but also how is it that you can switch the wheel so you live a life of purpose, a life of joy, and a life of success. So it's a big ask. I'm staying away from triggers. This is helping, Iman said. That's a great point of view, Iman. State of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. That's absolutely true, 100%. And just to let you know, guys, I'm a professional coach now. That's what I do for a living. I do, big trainings. I coach high achievers one-on-one. But 15 years ago, I was not that person. I was constantly stressed. I can definitely say that I was a nervous wreck. So looking back at myself 15 years ago and 15 years today, it's such a massive difference that I forget that I was that stressed person. And someone asked me yesterday, so I met someone who I don't see very often, and they told me, yo, Lio, I've never seen you stressed. Do you ever stress? And I really had to stop for a second and think about it. And I really had to reflect, do I get stressed? Is this something that ever happens to me? Because my new normal is a life of calm and peace. So Iman, me too. That's why I became a life coach myself. Iman, that's amazing. So what I realized is that I don't really stress. Not that my life is perfect, but I train myself not to not to see whatever happens around me as stress, right? Because what we say, I think with the word of stress, what we do is that we overuse the word stress so much, and then everything that happens in life is all of a sudden stress, which is not true. Life happens, not stress happens. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to jump online and share the steps that help me overcome stress in the most natural way. And I woke up one day, like yesterday, I realized this, I don't really stress. So I'm super excited to share with you my learnings. And I will dive into the topic in exactly 2 minutes. But before that, I'd love to say hello to you. Please share where you're tuning in from. What's your name? Because it's hard to identify names with the TikTok usernames. Let me know where you're tuning in from and how stressed are you feeling today. So let's say between 1 and 10, 1 being not stressed at all and 10 being super stressed. Where are you on the levels of stress today specifically? So let's work with this present moment. How do we think about things really helps. That's right. Hey Marina, how are you doing? Very nice to have you here. Super excited. Where are you tuning in from? So Iman is from Saudi. So 2 out of 10. That's wonderful. So you're very, very good place, Iman. Hello, everyone. So my name is Coach Lio for everybody who's joining, and we'll be talking about stress, how to overcome, tools, tactics, and hopefully this is going to be like more of a conversation rather than me talking at you. And I'd love you guys to share. So Maha is quite stressed. She's at 7.6. All right, that's quite high, but never mind. Hopefully maybe by the end of this live, you'll leave this live already in a much better state. Marina's from Moldova. Mariana, that's amazing. Wonderful. I'm so excited to have you here and to see you here. So I'm super excited, you guys. So, okay, so it's 25 and we shall dive in. And so Luke Sim says chest pain, back pain, dizziness, headache, difficulty breathing, inability to sleep, abdominal pain. Wow, I'm so sorry. And it sounds like Nali from Kurdistan. Welcome. That's super exciting. So exciting. And thank you guys for everybody who's sharing this live and for everybody who's following me. Thank you so much. My goal is to reach 10 million people in 2023, so it's a big ask, and the more you share, obviously the more people we can reach together. So look, ISM, it looks like you are experiencing a lot of stress related physiological difficulties, it looks like. Nadia is from France. Hello everyone, welcome Nadia, so excited to have you here. Prejudice, this can be a panic attack, sorry there. Yes, it looks like this is quite serious. Just please take care of yourselves. Give yourselves whatever you need to, whatever you need for yourself to feel better, to feel more present, to feel more calm. So let's dive into the topic. Today we talk about stress, how to overcome it, what is this whole stress all about, so on and so forth. So I've done extensive research throughout my career. I'm a professional coach, but I always look for some practical tools to help people in the moment. I don't like, philosophizing too much, because the goal is to take the knowledge and to bring some practical tools that people can apply right away. So there's this quest that we have in society right now. People say, okay, we should avoid stress. Stress is bad. We have to live stress-free lives. But the reality is there are things happening every day in our lives that are outside of our control, and that can create a lot of uncertainty and a lot of need for change in our lives. So something happens on the outside, I cannot control it, but as a result of that, I need already to start shifting, changing things in my own life, and that creates tension. So this type of tension, we define it as stress. And the problem with that is that most of science tells us that stress is terrible. It's so bad, it creates a lot of disease, so on and so forth. Now, the important thing to remember is that short-term stress is actually not so bad for us. It's actually good because it kickstarts the nervous system. We have a special mechanism within ourselves. We have mechanism in our so we have an immune system in our mind, emotional immune system, and we have a physiological immune system. So short-term stress, let's say if you stress for a day, really stressed, but then it was something important that was happening, was stressful or hard, and then it was one day long, and after one day you get back to your normal life. That kind of stress is actually not so terrible for you. It's actually good, because it puts you in a very intense shock for your mind and for your body. So number one, let's demystify stress a little bit, and let's understand stress a little bit. So if we talk about short-term stress, not so bad for you. The type of stress that is really bad for you, the type of stress that can make you sick, so on and so forth, is the long-term stress, low level. So it's not that super intense one stressful event. It's something that lasts for a really long time, or maybe over a period of 3 months or more, and it's a low level of stress, but it's constant and you don't know when it's going to end. So if you're worried about your health, if you are in this kind of situation, maybe a toxic job, maybe a toxic relationships, that's why a situation where a toxic job, a toxic place you're in, those places are really, you need to start paying attention, because if it's a long period of time, low level of stress, but you don't know when the stress is going to end, that's where your health might be affected. You might start, maybe being more exposed to getting chronic anxiety, or maybe slight depression or something like that. So those are the type of stressors that you want to pay attention and start changing yourself. So to me, I looked into me. I used to be a stress wreck all the time. I used to complain about stress. I used to feel like a victim, that, stress overwhelms me. There's nothing I can do. Honestly, that's how I felt 15 years ago. And then I look back, it's like, wow, I'm not stressed at all today. How did I do it? What did I do? So I kind of deconstructed a little bit what worked for me. And that's what I want to share with you today. So the first thing that I realized, and I remember way back when, like 15 years ago, the way I started to untangle stress, number one for me was to acknowledge that I was trying to live a life that it was not my own. Meaning, I was trying to live according to the social norms of my cultural background. I was striving and seeking and wanting things for my life that I didn't really want. Which was insane and crazy, right? The society tells you what? Get married, get kids, get a job. But I didn't really want all those things at that time. And because I did not have them, I would judge myself harshly, and I would make myself feel like I'm not good enough. So the number one thing that where I released a lot of stress is when I realized is like, wait a minute, all of those things that the society tells me I should have, I actually don't want them right now. And then I decided to be okay with that. So when I decided to be okay with not following the social norms, I released a massive amount of stress. So number one, releasing stress is that realize, are you living your own life? Are you chasing your own life? Or are you trying to live according to the social norms? So that was number one for me. Number two for me, a big deal of stressors was that my mind was always looking into the future. Like I never lived in the present moment. I'd always imagine a future scenario, whatever that is, like the worst case scenario. So my mind was completely, I was not conscious, and my mind was doing whatever the hell was wanted to do. So my mind would always like about money, about my job, about my future, about my kids, about my parents, about my this, about my that. Like I would constantly stress, and I would always live in this future worst case scenario. And because it was bad in my imagination, I felt a lot of anxiety for that future. And then that made me feel anxious in the present moment. So it's almost like I lived in this perpetuous imaginary place of the future of bad worst case scenario that made me so anxious, which was insane, because in that present moment 15 years ago, my life is beautiful. And today, 15 years later, my life is beautiful too. So imagine, 15 years ago, I would imagine the future today, and I would imagine insane. So the second step, second thing that helped me, I think I froze a bit. Okay, I'm back. I know, Ghost. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm so back. So the second thing what I did is that I realized that living in that potential future and stressing about it was a waste of my time. And I started training my mind. When I would see my mind would escape into the future, stressing about whatever, what if, I'd bring my mind back to the present moment, So I said, you know what? If that terrible future is about to happen, it's going to happen. I'm much better off living in the present moment. So that was number 2. I took my mind from the future and I brought it to the present moment. So that was second thing. And that's where I released. So these little steps of awareness kind of helped me at every stage release more and more and more stress. Are you guys with me? So step 1, I stopped living according to the society rules. Step 2, I stopped living in the future and future anxiety constantly. Step 3, what I realized, because of my upbringing, right? So I have amazing parents. I love them. They're awesome, but they're people, humans. Everybody makes mistakes. So what I realized was that my emotional home, my normal state of being, was worry and guilt. Honestly. So how many can relate to this? No matter what you do, no matter what happens in your life, no matter how much you accomplish, you're still feeling either guilty, or you're feeling worried, or you're feeling like you're not good enough. How many can relate to that? And I bet if there are high achievers on this call, you will make yourself known, because you will immediately raise your hand. How many of you, no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you do, no matter how much, your mind will always go to a place of worry, to a place of guilt, to a place of not being good enough, to a place that is completely disempowered. And it completely takes your achievements away, completely takes the sense of achieving anything, it takes it away. How many of you can relate to that? I definitely was the one. So my emotional home was guilt and worry. So those are the 2 things that I would always stress about. No matter what happened in my life, my mind would always inevitably bring me to these 2 things. I would either feel guilty, or I'll feel worried that I did not complete something, I did not finalize something, I did not do something, whatever my mind is telling me about. So step 3 in redressing my stress, what I did is that I realized that no matter what I did, so I realized, I said, well, if I do something I don't do, I still feel guilty or ashamed or whatever. So I realized is that that's not the truth of my life. It's just an emotion that I'm trained to feel, just like a dog, right? If you feed it at a certain hour, the dog will be hungry at a certain hour. My mind is the same. No matter what happened, my mind would always go back to worry and guilt. So when I realized that, I so I started training for a different feeling. So I decided then to train for feeling curious, because I'm naturally curious. So what I did, I turned up the volume on curiosity, because this is a strength that I have. And then I consciously decided to train for joy. So from guilt and worry, I switched myself and my thinking and my being to curiosity and joy. And switching that, just like the 2 feelings, was a massive dramatic improvement of me being less stressed. Because when you're curious and when you're joyful, it's very hard to be stressed at the same time. So that's step number 4 into helping myself, getting out myself. Hello, Reem, how are you? Welcome back. Taking myself out of the stress place and into a more empowered type of place. And then next, what I realized is that I was, let's say, I had an unhealthy levels of comparing myself to others. That's a top value of mine, joy. Amazing, Iman. We're on the same page, 100%. So anybody relating to that? Anybody feeling like your emotional home is a place that no matter what you do, you feel the same things, and you're so like, I'm sick and tired of this. And Go says, I recently suffering from lack of focus because of overthinking. That's exactly what it is. That was the step 3, where I would find my mind in the future, romanticizing an anxiety that didn't even happen, and then bring it into the present moment. So Ghost, a good way to overcome that is to train to be in the present moment. That's how you create that. So step number 4, I would compare myself to others badly. Also, maybe that was, let's say, a side effect of my childhood, for example, because I was compared a lot growing up. I'm sure many of you can relate. And it was an automatic thing. I didn't even realize when I was doing. I didn't realize when I was doing it, right? I miss you too, Faisal. Thank you so much. That's it. I am back. I'm so excited to be here. So I started becoming aware when I would compare myself to other people. And the way I would become aware is that, I'll just go about my day, doing my thing, and all of a sudden I feel like this emotional drop. And then I would ask myself, what's happening? Why did I have this emotional drop? And when when I would go into my brain and kind of hit pause on my thoughts, what was happening in my thoughts? I was comparing myself to somebody better, faster. And the thing is, you can't win when you compare yourself to someone. You do realize there's 8 billion of us out there. There's always somebody faster, beautiful, more successful, more happy in that moment. It's the most hopeless exercise you can ever do is comparing yourself. It's useless. So that's what I was doing all the time. So once I claimed that back and I decided to step into my full power, I started to become aware. I stopped comparing myself. And if you know me, guys, if you know my content, I'm massive on you guys never daring to compare your precious selves to other people. Even if you love them, it doesn't matter. You're precious, you're individual, you're unique, you're alone. You're not alone, you are unique. And don't you dare compare yourself to anybody else. So when I stopped doing that, even less stress was in my life. Even less stress was happening in my life. So that was the 5th step. So the 6th step, so we're talking just through 8 steps on how to release stress. I always compare myself to others hardly. So are you comparing yourself or not really? Because if you're not really comparing yourself, amazing. If you always do, not a good thing. So Iman says, things do make more sense now. The aha moments hit me differently. I love that. Amazing. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next thing what I did is that I realized that I was tying my own self-worth to the way I looked. Okay, and again, something I did not consciously choose. This were just kind of, I was collecting the pieces from how I was brought up. So as I was brought up, there's a lot of attention in my society, at least, how you look, how you a lot of emphasis. I never know how to pronounce this word. Sorry, guys. A lot of attention was put on how you look, right? And again, with looks is very subjective. Somebody will like you, somebody won't. So being liked was very important to me. And I tried everybody to like me. And obviously, when you meet 100 people a day, there's just, a fair amount of people not going to like you, or at least not going to express the liking of you as a people pleaser would expect to receive, right? So then I stopped doing that. I realized that if I tie my self-worth around being Najwa, the topic is how to release stress. So how can I stop being stressed? So that's welcome, Najwa. So I chose to tie my self-worth around being a learner, a continuous learner. And by the way, I stole this from Tom Bilyeu. I heard him saying that, and I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. I'm gonna steal it. So now my identity as Lio, I care how I look, but that's not, I don't value myself as a human being based on how I look. Doesn't exist in my life anymore at all. I love looking good, but that's not at all my highest value. So then I changed that for being a learner, a continuous learner. Now I learn every day. That's it. If I don't learn every day, yes, I will judge myself, and I'm okay with that. because learning is fully in my control. Nobody has to approve of my learning. I'm fully in control of this process. I have access to learning all the time. I value myself. I praise myself for learning. So it completely helped me shift and release a lot of stress as well. So Ghost says, Coach, why we feel helpless when we face a problem, but when someone we love have it, we have solutions. Okay, Ghost, my intuition tells me, and I might be wrong, but it's because of lack of self-trust. Okay, that's what I think, is because when you lack self-trust, and that was actually step 7, coincidentally, the question. So I lack self-trust, Ghost. I'll share this. Literally, this is my life, this is my experience. So I'm so happy to share with you. Hopefully it will serve you guys in service of you. So I did not trust myself. So I did not trust myself to bring myself success. Okay. So then what I did, because I did not trust myself, I would always look for other people to bring me success. To give you an example, as a young woman, I would go and find a very successful boss, and I would just push him, and I would like kill myself working for that boss, because I thought, well, if he's ambitious, if he's successful, then I'm going to be successful as well. And I was like workaholic, right? But I did not trust myself to take all of those hours and to work for me, to open my own business, which I always dreamt of, to open my own coaching practice, which I always dreamt of. I didn't have that self-belief. So I always, or I found my husband, I got married, and I'm still with my husband. I love him. He's a great guy. But way back when, because I did not have, I'll push him so hard to succeed, because I wanted to succeed. I wanted that success, but I didn't trust myself to give it to myself. See what I mean? So that's why when I needed to encourage my husband or to work for my boss, I would just like find all the solutions. But when it came to me, my own independent success, I felt helpless. So the way I healed that was when I started practicing and training self-trust. It's a very simple framework, but you can train yourself to trust yourself. And by the way, you guys, a little caveat here: if you don't trust yourself, please don't start a business, because having a business, having your own enterprise, it is absolutely crucial for you to trust yourselves. Okay, so that's just a little bit on the topic of self-trust. So we have a question here: can I get rid of panic attacks? We'll get back to the question just now. So I will just finalize with how to release stress, with the steps on how to release stress, and then I'll go through all the questions. So the last thing what I did, so I did all of those things. I work on my identity, and then I released on how I should live my life according to the society's rules. I stopped comparing myself to others. I started training my mind for joy and curiosity instead of worry and guilt. I tied my self-worth around being a learner versus being how I looked. So I did all of those things, and with every single step, I would feel more and more calm, more and more control. I started building my own self-trust versus trying to look for other people to be successful for me, right? So all of those things, like collectively, contribute to a place where, oh, another thing. Okay, so the last thing which used to like drive me insane, stressed. I would always worry for my loved ones. So I would catastrophize, right? I would imagine, oh, what if something happens to them when I'm not there? Like my parents, I live far from my parents. So I'd always have like this worst case scenarios in my mind running. Oh my God, what if something happens to them? I'm not there, blah, 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 like crazy stuff. And then when I realized that this is just an insane thought running through my mind, the way I redressed that, what I used to do then instead, I used to say, so my parents live far, but then I would plan trips with them throughout the year. So I would say, okay, I know that in 3 months I'm going to go and see them there. In another 6 months, I'm going to go and see them there. And we would plan these trips, we would plan these gatherings, we'll plan these projects. And then instead of my mind being wild, worried, and running like a crazy horse all over the place, then I would focus on anticipating towards our meetings and planning for our meetings, so on and so forth. So always giving my mind something to do, it definitely took me from worry and stress into anticipation and happiness. So those are just few things that help me. So let me run through it again. I stopped living according to society's rules. I stopped comparing myself to others. I started training my mind for joy and presence versus guilt and anxiety. I stopped worrying for my loved ones because I started thinking and planning some events with them every systematically. Also, what I did is what else did I mention? I started practicing my self-trust. I wrapped my self-worth around being a learner versus being a pretty girl. And with every single step, I had less and less and less and less stress and more and more and more and more and more presence. Where today, stress is something that I invite into my life. I reframe the meaning of stress. When I'm stressed, I take it as an opportunity. So I take stress as a message for me to pay attention because something needs to change. Either I need to change it or somebody else needs to change it. So it's a good thing in my life right now. So those are just few things on stress. And if you did not catch the whole episode, please go here because I'll post this entire episode, I'll post it on YouTube directly as is. Not much editing, but the content will be there for you. All right, amazing. So those are a few things I wanted to share around stress. And I'm just curious if you guys have any questions. Do you have to go any deeper on any topics? And in the meantime, I'll just go through some comments and see if we have any comments here. All right. Okay. So we have a question, can I get rid of panic attacks? Okay, so when it comes to panic attacks, it depends how severe they are. I would say breathing definitely helps, but if they persist, please, I definitely advise you to see a professional therapist or psychologist. They are licensed professionals, and it's better to have that, look it up, just in case. And Spanian81 says, when I'm stressed, I used to make myself busy with anything funny. That's a great tactic. I love it. So it sounds like you're interrupting the pattern of your stress, right? So when you let's say you feel stressed and you do something completely different, like in your case, keeping yourself busy with anything funny, that's amazing. It's called pattern interrupt. So intuition is spot on. Love that. So we have an Arabic name. I'm sorry, I can't read it. And the comment is, I am always have the feeling like whatever I do, I don't feel it's enough. I don't know why. Okay. I know this feeling, and I am so sorry. I know how you feel. You were probably comparing yourself to others, or you believe some comments from your childhood where whatever you do, you're not enough. And the antidote to that is self-love. Self-love is the antidote to that. So Spaniard says you're absolutely correct. Surrounding yourself with successful friends, you'll be successful like them 100%. So how to get rid of harmful past which keeps holding me back, like being in a harmful relationship. So if you're currently in that relationship, so just Spaniard, I don't want to make any assumptions. If you can give me a bit of more information, are you still currently in that relationship, or you're out of the relationship but the stories of that keep coming back? If you can give me that clarification, then I can give you a more precise reply. How do you deal with the negative thoughts? Okay, that's very interesting. I actually wrote a book. I launched it in November 2019, and it's called Delete: How to Erase Your Negative Thoughts Fast. So to be honest, the short answer is find my book. Go on my Instagram. You can find all the links there. But the longer answer is understand that you are not the negative thoughts. So you is you, your values, your life purpose, your experiences, your memories, your history, your desires, your goals, your dreams. And the negative thoughts are the negative thoughts. So the negativity, we call it ANTs, automatic negative thoughts, are just like a collection of all the negative comments you received growing up, negative experiences, negative beliefs about yourself, all like negativity, okay? So that's what the whole negativity. So number one, separate. You are you, Negative thoughts are negative thoughts. So when you separate yourself, okay, so then in order for you to become positive, you don't need to change yourself. You just need to change your thought pattern, your thinking. So you become aware of that. Number two, you actually start listening to those thoughts and distancing yourself more and more from those thoughts and start looking at those thoughts. Number four, you start questioning them. I'm stupid. Like, who's like, where is the cat? Like, start questioning. I'm not good enough. What? Like, question those silly, poisonous little thoughts that run through your head. And even if they're there for 20, 30, 50 years, I don't care. Your job as a mature person is to question those thoughts. And when you question them, there's nothing behind them. You will see that those are nothing but lies, and then you reframe them. So it sounds a bit complicated, but it's actually a straightforward process. I hope this helps. So Iman says, what is one advice to give someone who dives deeply in their dark emotions? Okay, so why to give someone who dives deeply? So my advice would be is, do they want to come out? So my question is, do they want to stay there, or they want to come out of their dark emotions? Because some people want to be there in the dark and they don't want to come out of the dark. So if somebody is in the dark and they don't want to come out, there's nothing I can do, right? So I think the number one advice, if you are in a dark place, my advice is to allow yourself to want to come out. Make sure that you want to come out, right? Help yourself, even if you don't know how, but really ask yourself and tell yourself, I want to come out of this. Because when you set the intention of wanting to come out of any kind of situation in life, no matter how hard, the universe will respond. People will come into your life, opportunities will come into your life, coaches will come into your life, the right energy will come into your life, things will happen. But first, everything happens with the decision and with the desire. Decide and put the desire out that you want to come out of it, and things will happen for you. That will be my number one advice. Spanian says, I am out of the relationship, but I keep telling myself how idiot I was, but I didn't see those signs. Okay, so it sounds, Spanian, like you are trapped into an old story. Okay, so the difference between history and story, right? So you were in this relationship. That's the history that happened. We cannot physically go back in your past and change something in your past, like shorten that relationship or change that person. We cannot. That is history. Cannot go and change. Now the story is something that you're writing today about your history. And in the story that you're writing today, you're fully in control. It sounds like you are trapped in your history and you are not busy writing your story today. So my invitation is, stop being in the history, because there's nothing you can do to change that, and start getting yourself 100% busy into rewriting your story about what happened. And it sounds like you're stuck, literally stuck in a story that happened to you. Now, rewrite that and start writing your story of what are the learnings, what are you taking away, what was the gift in that, and what is it that you want for the future. Start thinking about not what you don't want, not what shouldn't have. It sounds like there's some I shouldn't have, why didn't I, and so on. Useless. And start thinking about what you want, what you desire, what you've learned. What is it that you're clear about now? Okay, so that's what I would look into. Yes, totally agree, man. Thank you so much. All right, amazing, you guys. So today I'm going to cut it short. I will have to jump off this live today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you That's great advice. You're welcome, Spanian. I hope that serves you well. And I'm so happy that you've been here. Thank you so much. You're amazing. You're even more amazing, you guys. It was an absolute blessing having you here. Please remember to follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram. The link is here. If you want to have a chat with me, have a chat about coaching, please reach out to me by Instagram DMs. I always am active there. I joined late. Hassan, no worries. I'll be publishing this on my YouTube. So this, I'll publish it now. It's not going to be fancy, beautiful, but you'll have the content there. So go check it out. And I am due to publish another live from a few days ago. Okay. No, I'm not looking for a virtual assistant, MIX. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. I will be going live. So my next live is going to be, let's say Sunday. So today is Friday. Sunday, in 2 days from now, at 7 p.m. Dubai time. So 7 p.m. Sunday, be here, be square, turn on the notification, follow me here, follow me on Instagram. Instagram is completely different content. So I shared even today this, let's say, framework for stress relief. It's on my Instagram. You can go and check it out. Thank you so much for being here. Take good care of yourselves. I really respect you. Thank you for spending time together. And we'll see you on Sunday, 7 p.m. Have a good